cross.
May I proceed?
Yes.
Good morning, Good morning, Ms. Hopson.
Good morning, Counselor.
I need to ask you some questions about September 24th.
Yes, ma'am.
And I know that this may be hard for you, so if at any time that you need a break, will you let me know?
Yes, I will.
I'd like to talk to you about what happened at the bar.
Okay.
You and Vanessa arrived at the bar around 7 p.m.
Yeah, we got there at 7.
And three of you left around midnight.
No, we left around 12:45. That's why we only had 15 minutes to get home.
So you left at 12:45.
Yes, ma'am.
So you were at the bar for a little over 5 hours.
Yeah, a little bit over.
Now, a direct examination, you talked about some observations that you made. But isn't it true that you made these observations while you were drinking?
I had no more than 2 or 3 drinks that night. I felt a little lightheaded, but I was able to see everything just fine.
So you had enough drinks that you felt lightheaded?
A little lightheaded.
Well, let's talk about those drinks that you had. You had a drink known as a screwdriver.
Yes, I did.
And screwdrivers contain vodka.
They contain a little bit of vodka, but mostly OJ.
But they do contain vodka.
Yes, ma'am.
And the server kept bringing you screwdriver after screwdriver.
They kept coming to the table, but I was pushing them aside.
But the server did bring them to you.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're not quite sure how many you had.
I can't give you an exact number like to the ounce, but I know it was no more than 2 or 3 drinks full.
But you're not sure exactly how many you had.
Exactly to the ounce number.
Now, you don't normally drink, do you?
Oh no, no. I don't prefer drinking.
So when it comes to alcohol, you're not quite sure of your limits.
Objection, Your Honor, relevance as to Ms. Hopson's limits.
How is that relevant?
She testified that she only had 2 or 3 drinks and that she was feeling fine, but if she does not normally drink alcohol and she does not normally know her limits, she's not sure of the effects that alcohol has on her. This goes directly to the credibility of her testimony.
Her limits?
Her alcohol tolerance. Would you like me to rephrase the question?
No, your objection is sustained. I don't believe her alcohol tolerance is at issue. Certainly relevant is how much alcohol she consumed, but her particular tolerance is not at issue here. So your objection is sustained.
Yes, sir. Now, over the course of that night, you had multiple screwdrivers.
Yeah, but no more than 2 or 3 drinks full.
And those 2 or 3 screwdrivers made you feel lightheaded.
A little bit, but then I had sweet tea. I like me my sweet tea.
Now, I'd like to talk to you about what happened in the parking lot.
Yes, ma'am.
Vanessa got into the passenger seat,
She did.
and Miss Dawson got into the driver's seat,
Yes, she did.
and you got into the back seat behind Miss Dawson.
Actually, I was more in the middle.
So you were in the back seat,
I was in the back seat.
and you directed Miss Dawson on how to get to Vanessa's house.
I told her the way to get home.
And the 3 of you took Canyon Road.
Yes.
Now, you're from Midlands,
Yeah, I lived here since I was 8.
so you're familiar with Canyon Road.
Yeah, I was telling you earlier, I used to take it home all the time.
So you've taken it multiple times in the past,
Yes.
and you're familiar with its steep curves.
I'm familiar with its steep curves.
So you know that there's a portion of Canyon Road that has no guardrails.
I've noticed that, but I still like taking it on the way home.
I didn't ask you if you like taking the road. I asked you about the portion that has no guardrails, and it doesn't have any guardrails. Is that
Objection, Your
right?
Honor, relevance to guardrails.
If I may proffer?
Yes.
This testimony, this witness will testify that the area of Canyon Road on which the accident occurred has no guardrails, is surrounded by an overgrowth of trees, and is known in the community as the death zone. This goes to, this goes to the area and what it's like, in which the crash occurred.
So you're trying to establish that the crash occurred in what is known as the death zone?
Yes, we're rebutting extreme recklessness.
Okay.
Your Honor, we are here to examine Ms. Dawson's actions today. We are not here to examine the conditions of the road. We're simply here to look at Ms. Dawson's actions.
I thought you thought the conditions of the road were relevant, that it was pouring rain, that it was curvy. Wasn't that all part of your case?
However, with specific relation, to guardrails, that is irrelevant. We were simply asking, we're setting up foundation for Canyon Road and Ms. Dawson's reaction and driving on Canyon Road, how she reacted to the conditions of Canyon Road. And specific guardrails are not relevant today.
This is the portion of the road where the crash occurred. This goes to rebut Ms. Dawson's extreme recklessness on that road.
I'll allow it, so your objection's overruled.
Sure.
So there is the portion with no guardrails.
Yes, ma'am.
And that portion is surrounded by trees.
There's trees in the area.
Multiple trees surrounding that area.
It's quite beautiful, yes, ma'am.
Now, this area is known in the community to be an especially dangerous portion of Canyon Road.
It can be dangerous.
But the community knows it as an especially dangerous portion.
That's what the community thinks.
And some people call it the death zone.
Objection, Your Honor, more prejudicial than probative. May I be heard?
It's known by that designation.
However, Your Honor, the term death zone can grossly mislead the jury into believing that death is in fact imminent if one is to drive on this certain portion of Canyon Road. Without any type of scientific backup or any type of facts that can qualify such an extreme term, this term, the death zone, is extremely more prejudicial than it is probative.
The testimony was that it's known in the community as the death zone, not that any scientist has dubbed it as such. Your objection's overruled.
So it's known in the community as the death zone.
It has claimed that name.
And prior to September 24, you know that multiple deaths have occurred on this stretch of Canyon Road.
I've lost 2 friends there before. They were speeding.
So multiple deaths prior to the 24th.
I only know of 2, but yes.
Do you need a moment?
No.
I'd like to talk to you about the conditions on Canyon Road that night.
Yes, okay.
While you were driving through this stretch of road known in the community as the death zone, it was very dark
Yes, it was dark.
and it was raining.
Yeah, it was pouring.
There was thunder,
There was some thunder going on in the distance.
some lightning,
A flash here and there.
so it was pouring down rain.
Yes, and I don't know why she kept speeding. I told her to slow down.
Objection, Your Honor, non-responsive.
Sustained.
Permission to strike everything after the responsive answer.
I don't know that she actually answered the question.
Permission to strike the answer.
Yes.
So it was pouring down rain.
Yes, ma'am.
Now on Canyon Road, there's one light.
There are some lights from the houses. There's London Bennett's porch light.
So there's just London Bennett's porch light lighting Canyon Road.
Well, like I was saying before, Canyon Road has different sections.
But on this specific section of Canyon Road where the crash occurred, there's one light.
Yes, ma'am. One light.
Now I'd like to talk to you about how much you remember from that night. Now when you were driving down the car began to spin, isn't that right?
It was just going round and round, yes.
And while it was spinning, you weren't sure where the car was going.
No, I couldn't tell at all.
Speculation?
May I respond?
Okay.
If this witness doesn't feel comfortable answering this question, she can say so as it's cross-examination.
Actually, Your Honor, may I withdraw my objection on speculation and renew a new objection as to relevance of Ms. Hopson's awareness?
May I respond?
Yes.
This goes directly to the credibility of her testimony as to what she remembers. If I may proffer, I'll ask her about her recollection of the deer, and if her memory of the surrounding time frame of the accident goes directly to the credibility of that testimony.
All right. Your objection's overruled.
So you don't know where the car was going when it was spinning,
When it was spinning, it was just going round and round.
and you were in the back seat, like you said earlier.
Yes.
So you don't remember anything that happened during the crash besides that the car was spinning.
While it was spinning, I don't remember. I remember glimpses after we hit the utility pole.
Isn't it true that you blacked out?
I can't remember if it was a blackout. I remember flashes here and there.
So you only remember flashes here and there.
I remember blood just everywhere. Just everywhere.
And then you woke up in the hospital.
And that's where I found out Vanessa was gone.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any other direct?
No,